Alright, lads, welcome back to what is already episode number 10 of the toonTALK podcast brought to you by Magpie247. On today's episode, Joe is making his debut. How are you, Joe?
I'm good, yeah, excited to be here.
Fantastic. Yeah, some exciting stuff, even though we don't have that exciting of a result to talk about, unfortunately, because yesterday, and that's immediately the first game we are going to talk about. We faced Brentford, and would you like to take it away and tell us how that game went, Joe?
Um, Shocking, I think is the word I'm going to use. Absolutely shocking. I
Hmm.
think there was a lack of attacking integrity. I think defensively we were getting overrun, and I think the midfield was poor again. Not the midfield we've come to expect with obviously what we've seen in previous 2 or 3 seasons. So
Hmm.
yeah, I just think it was another performance similar to West Ham, where we just looked lethargic going forwards and couldn't hold our own defensively.
Absolutely, absolutely. I suggest we have a listen to what Paul and Kyle's thoughts were on the starting 11 line or the starting lineup.
Well, it's a massive game today down in London for Newcastle United. We're missing a few players, but that's not to be used as an excuse whatsoever. Last weekend's utter garbage performance against West Ham has to be the line in the sand. Today, I don't care how it comes. Ideally, yes, we'd all like them to play champagne football, sexy football, score a couple of goals and have a nice, easy, relaxing day in the office. But this is Newcastle United. We don't do things the easy way. And to be fair, if it goes in off Dan Burns' arse in the 94th minute and it's a 1-0 and it's been backs against the wall for the entire 90 minutes, I'd really, at this stage, don't give an absolute shite. Because all that matters is the 3 points. We've got to start winning some matches. We've got to start improving the away form domestically. And no better place to start that than today. And I want to see a performance where the players are playing for the badge, they're playing for the shirt, they're putting the bodies on the line, they're doing what they need to do, and ultimately picking up the victory. The all important victory. Get that monkey off our back this season and then go into the international break with a little bit more confidence, a little bit more belief, then hopefully get a few more players back and really have a huge push and a huge amount of momentum, hopefully, in towards stringing a couple of results together, pushing ourselves up the league with the likes of Vista back, with the likes of Livermento back, with the likes of Lewis Hall fully fit and available, Jacob Ramsey hopefully fit and available and firing on all cylinders. And we have a better second half of the season. That's ultimately what we've got to do to be able to get some sort of European football, which is, of course, the mission statement this season. That's the minimum expectation to get back into some sort of European competition. That has to be the focus for Eddie and the lads. So I'll leave it there. I'll come back at half time, hopefully talking about a couple of Newcastle United goals and a great performance. Yeah, where's that word?
So, Newcastle United take on Brentford today at the Gtech Stadium. The team is officially out, and as expected at this point, Eddie Howe, barring injuries, has kept the same team that played against West Ham, barring Trippier coming back in and Gordon opting out because of injury. Um, Against Benfica, I was annoyed by it. Sorry, not against Benfica, against Bilbao, I was annoyed by this. Um, but today, I'm not going to let it annoy us because it's a case of they just need to win. I don't care what the performance, they need to fucking win the day. Like, going into this international break, like losing today will be a real low point. And the group of players need to bounce back. Am I disappointed a couple of players probably should have got the nod and played today? Yeah, I think Miley could have got in, maybe Ramsey, in the midfield, especially with the way we've been in the midfield the past couple of league games. Um, but yeah, I think it's a good enough team to win the day. Obviously, I don't want to like Brentford aren't one of them teams you can just take for granted. They're a good side, and if we're not at our best, we will get beat today. Like if we're not on it, but just fucking win, lads. Like away from home this season, we've been nothing short of shite. It's either been the performances being dire, or we just haven't been able to score goals. It's always been one of the two away from home this season, and we need to start winning games. It's at that point now, like, obviously they can be, look at the table, and it's all different, and it's too early to look at it, and need to win the day. No excuses. So, I mean, last week you can blame the players for the way they played and blame the management as well. But I think if these play bad today and he hasn't rotated, you definitely blame the management, because it's a case of fool us once, but not twice kind of thing. And he's put his faith into the same players. But we'll see. Just fucking win the day, lads, please.
And then we discuss what we thought about the 11 names that started against Brentford, because it was quite a strong outfit, actually. Even though we have struggled away from home, as of recently, I wanted to say, but it's now been going on for a bit too long. But if you just have a quick look at the names who were lined up, Barnes, Voltemade, Murphy, I think that's pretty much the attack everybody was asking for. Joe Linton, Tonali, Bruno is a midfield we've come to know and love. And this defense normally has been unbelievably solid this season, but now we've conceded 6 goals in 2 games over the past two away days. So, what were your thoughts about the 11 men who came out on the pitch yesterday?
Oh, oh. Well, I thought there's not much stronger you can do with the players we currently have fit. There
Mm-hmm.
isn't, but I think, and we saw it against West Ham. We saw it again yesterday against Brentford. Dan Burn at left back gets found out by wingers who are good. If he's up against a good winger, he gets found out too easy because he's not a full back. He's a centre back. We all know he's a centre back. So when Lewis Hall is now sort of coming back to fitness, and obviously he put in that fantastic performance midweek, which I'm sure we'll come on to,
Mm-hmm.
why isn't he starting this game over Dan Burn, where he can make a real difference? Is what I would say. And I think it showed as well with, I think Tonali had one of his poorest games in black and white against Brentford. I think Tonali had a really poor game after a fantastic performance midweek. So
Mm-hmm.
I think the front three is what you probably expected, with obviously Gordon out and with the front three of Barnes, Watermaid, and Murphy. I think that's a good front three. I think the midfield three on paper is brilliant. I think Jolinton going off after 24 minutes did leave us a bit lackluster with sort of that enforcer in the midfield, if you know what I mean. But
Mm-hmm.
and I just think with the back line, obviously Shaw and Botman are fantastic centre halves in their own right, but especially with Botman yesterday, I think Botman wasn't himself yesterday. And I think he is at fault for that third goal
Mm-hmm.
by just not being quick enough. And then Nick Pope, just what has gone wrong with him this season? He can't catch a ball. That's my point with Nick Pope. He can't catch a ball at the moment.
Yeah, I'm struggling with this lineup as well, because as you touched upon, it's pretty much the strongest lineup we could put out there with the
Yeah.
people who are fit, apart from maybe the left back position, which I was a bit puzzled by as well. I think Lewis Hall must be still struggling a bit with his fitness, because I don't see
hmm
any other reason, especially against Brentford, who have such unbelievably fast wingers in Shada and Ouattara. I don't understand why you would then play Dan Burn against them otherwise.
hmm
As for the attack, I thought Barnes. I mean, when the game was about to start, I thought this is a big opportunity for Barnes to prove people like me, for
100%.
example, wrong, who think they are he is a bit too one-dimensional. And he started off really well, because that first goal is an absolutely beautiful goal
Oh,
from
it's
him.
brilliant. Yeah, it's
He
brilliant.
spins his defender so well, takes it onto his left foot, which I think he actually needs to do more often, because his strikes with his left are often a lot more dangerous than I expect, but he still
Yeah.
cuts onto his right foot too often, in my opinion. But Nick Voltemade, I saw there was a lot of chatter about him in the group chat. What did you think of his performance and of his last, let's say, 1 or 2 weeks?
He's not in the role he wants to be in. That's what I say with Walter Marder. I
Mm-hmm.
think he started superbly, and we thought, oh, we've got a striker here. But you watch him play, and you watch him play, and you look at him, and you're like, this guy is not a striker. This guy is a guy who sits behind a striker. And you see that clear as day if you watch him play. So I
Mm-hmm.
think for me, the thing with Walter Marden recently is first of all, the first thing I'm going to say is he's being fouled a lot, and they're not being given because he's a big guy,
Mm-hmm.
and for some bizarre reason, him sort of having to outstrength and bully a defender off him, being pulled and tugged and everywhere, and the referees aren't giving it. It's stupid. But then you see he wants someone ahead of him. You see he wants that person he can knock the ball onto, and the wingers aren't making the runs, the midfielders aren't making the runs. So he has no pass on really, and I think that's what we're lacking with Waltermada.
Mhm. Absolutely, yeah. I think I pretty much agree with everything you're saying right there. Voltemade looks like an unbelievable facilitator of the play because when he does drop deep into midfield, the combinations are absolutely beautiful. And I found myself getting frustrated over the last couple of games that we can combine so effectively and so beautifully when we're in our own half, but when we're high up the pitch, all of a sudden those combinations just seem to disappear, and that's
Mhm.
really starting to frustrate me. But if Wissa was to come back after the international break, if Elanga maybe was to find some form, if Gordon was to find some form, those players could realistically run in behind the Voltemade. Do you think
100%.
that would address all our attacking woes?
150%.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Alanga needs to find some form because I think we've still got a player there, a really good player there. He just needs confidence.
Hmm.
He needs that confidence behind him. I think Witter coming back will make so much of a difference. The question obviously comes up with who do you drop to facilitate Witter coming back? Now, for me, and this is going to sound horrible, it's Joe Linton. I think you
Hmm.
go Sandro Bruno. You play to keep with your two wingers, Walter Marder in a 10, Witter up top. I think that's what we have to do. I think that will facilitate Walter Marder getting involved in the play more, as well as obviously Gordon, Alanga, Vista all finding more form,
Hmm.
sort of thing. Vista coming back is just it will be like a new signing in November, basically.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've seen before with Newcastle getting some new signings throughout the season because I remember, I mean, obviously Tonali had his whole betting debacle, but apart from him, I seem to remember Isaac had a quite a long-term injury after he had only played 2 games for us. Um, if I'm not mistaken, we had to miss Livramento a little bit after his signature as well. So it is something we've seen before, but I mean, has there ever been such a clamoring for a player like we are crying out for an out and out and recognized number 9 at this moment in time? Because I mean, Voltemade does look like an incredible player, and this isn't a slate at him at all. But you do notice there's nobody who is making these runs in behind. There's nobody who's stretching the defense. And that's really starting to worry me because our attacking play just looks flat. We
Yeah,
look bereft of ideas. We don't have any creativity. And I think that solution you offer with a double pivot of Tonali and Bruno with Voltemade in front could be really, really interesting for us going forward. Because with Bruno and Sandro, you have 2 players who have an unbelievable engine, who are very combative in midfield, so they don't mind winning the ball
yeah.
back. I think that could really work. However, would you look for a third midfielder in the January or maybe in the summer window as well? And maybe what kind of profile would you be looking for?
If we want another midfielder, I know exactly who I want. I've said this for a while. I do the Magpie Ultras on Facebook, which is
Hmm.
another one of our ones. And on there, I've talked about him time and time again. Elliot Anderson. I want him back. I want him back
Hmm.
because I feel like he's upped his game so much at Forest, and he is sort of. You talk about Bruno and Tonali being these engines, these combative midfielders. He's in that same vein now. He's a
Hmm.
bit more. Admittedly, he's got a bit more maybe attacking engine in him as well, other than them two. But he is a complete 8 now, and I would love to see him come back to Newcastle and sort of rotate around with Sandro and Bruno. I just think that would be something every Newcastle fan would love, really, wouldn't it?
Absolutely, I completely agree. He has taken some unbelievable steps since going to
Hmm.
Nottingham Forest, and I mean, at this moment in time, I think the third slot in England's midfield is his to lose for the World Cup, and
Yep,
that just tells you about everything you need to know about this player.
agreed, agreed completely.
Especially in tight areas, he's so
Yeah, he's
unbelievably
so
good at
good.
coming out of pressure. So I would really like to see that signing as well. I think that could also bring a bit more, not necessarily stability, but peace of mind or
Yeah,
easiness. The thing I struggle with a lot of the time is something we've seen Bournemouth move away from over the summer. We are a really, really high energy uh, team. And that's
hmm
all good and well because we've had a lot of success being that high energy over the last couple of seasons. But when the energy is having an off day, we have nothing to fall back on. And that's really, really frustrating. if this team isn't running at 110%, and then I mean running for everybody else, then this system just simply doesn't work, and we don't have the players to simply control a game and see out a game against lower opposition, quite frankly. Because I mean, with all due respect to Brentford, and I mean, maybe we do have to give a quick little shout out to both Igor Thiago, who is having a fantastic season for them, and Keith Andrews, who I mean is proving every single doubt wrong this
Yeah.
season by beating Liverpool, United, and now Newcastle. But we have to lay most of the blame at our own feet, don't we?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I think touching on what you said there about Keith Andrews as well, he was a set piece coach last season. He
Absolutely.
stepped up, he's taken on this management job. Does remind me a bit of Thomas Frank as well with the way he's got Brentford playing as well. It's very similar to how Thomas Frank had them set up. So I think there is a big career ahead for him. Obviously, though, like we said, the blame for yesterday does lie at our own door more than it lies. It's sort of we can give Brentford all the credit because they did play well, but at the same time, we need to. The thing we're not doing as much as we've done in previous seasons is the high energy game. We play it for 20 or so minutes, then we take a step back, save energy, conserve energy, and then go again and surprise them by coming out the blocks again, like we did at kickoff. And we don't do that at the moment. And I don't know why we're not doing it, but it's one thing that's defined Newcastle United over the last 3 or 4 seasons. Whereas now
Absolutely.
it's not defined our game anymore, and it's sort of these teams have found a way to play around our press.
And
So,
I think the thing with that pressing is for us is one of our, if not our most important asset. But if you look at the statistics, that's actually one of the more worrying things about this season, in my opinion. At home, we are still an unbelievable pressing side. We get a choke hold on teams at home, and we win the ball high up the pitch, which immediately puts us in a dangerous area, and that's how we are at our best. Away from home, the press is absolutely lethargic at best, which is unacceptable. I highly doubt that's an instruction from Eddie Howe that players need to press less when we are away from home. So I struggle to see why this is happening, but especially the counter press, which is pressing when you lose possession for the first couple of seconds after losing that possession. Away from home, we are horrendous in those numbers, and that's just something we simply aren't used to seeing from an Eddie Howe side. So I don't understand why this is going on, but something's got to give because this isn't good.
I think our away form needs to go in the same vein as what our home form has gone. So obviously, home start of the season, we lost to Liverpool. We narrowly beat Wolves in a very lacklustre performance, I think it's fair to say. We lost to Arsenal. But then Forest, we came out the blocks, we were a different team, we played well. Benfica, we played really well. Barcelona, we played really well. Fulham, we didn't play badly, but we didn't play as well as we can.
Mm-hmm.
Spurs, we played them off the park. Bilbao, we were fantastic. It's sort of like our away form needs to pick up like our home form has, because our home form started slow. No one's going to sugarcoat that either, really. But then we picked up that performance, we picked up that performance level, and it just needs to have the same effect away from home as well. Because for Eddie especially, Eddie needs to go back to the drawing board and have a look, see what we're doing away from home differently. Like you say, the pressing numbers aren't the same at home as they are away. See what we're doing away from home and rectify basically what's going wrong, what's the difference between the two sort of parts of football, basically.
Absolutely, yeah. And uh, well, the last thing I wanted to say about the first half before we move on to the second half and have some of Kyle's halftime match thoughts.
hmm
I thought at halftime was the only real possibility where you could grade players from Newcastle United. And if I'm completely honest, even though we were ahead at the break, I said to one of my mates, we are playing horrendous, and pretty much only Kieran Trippier and Malik Thiaw are keeping us in the game. Well, at
hmm
that moment in time, Dan Burn was actually having a pretty okay game as well before getting sent
Well,
off.
obviously, yeah.
Um, but apart from Thiaw and Trippier, I thought nobody was on it. The really frustrating thing about the run of games you just mentioned before, for me, is the second half against Fulham, because that's the
hmm
only time we have looked like we felt some urgency to score, and that's so frustrating to me.
I
There's
agree with that.
yeah.
I agree with that, but I think it's just after we didn't look like it when we first came out of the blocks that second half until Lukic scored, and
Mhm.
then we looked like it. So it took us conceding for us to look like that.
Yeah, you're right. That and which also isn't acceptable. We have to look like that from
No,
the get-go.
exactly.
All right, I suggest we have a look or have a listen at what Kyle's halftime thoughts were against Brentford, which I mean, at this point we were still ahead. But then the second half came around, and I mean, let's start off with Michael Coyote because another freaking long throw from this guy.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how he gets the ball like this. He's really good at it, to be fair
It's
to him.
unbelievable. It's pretty much a carbon copy of the goal they scored last week, which
Yeah.
that's such an unbelievable weapon to have, isn't it?
To be fair, we've got it when Tino's fit, because
Hmm.
Tino has a very good long throw on him. So when he's fit, we do have that weapon as well. I think it's become a part of modern day football again, which I'm loving. I
Yeah,
love a
you
long
do.
throw.
Okay.
Everyone loves a long throw. Everyone loves a long throw.
I mean, you say that, but the discourse over the internet over the past couple of weeks has been that teams like Arsenal are. I mean, we all have seen the words "harambal"
Oh
come
yes.
across on the internet, but I, they call Tony Pulis an old man, and now everybody's doing it. That's pretty much the meme I'm seeing everywhere. But you
Yep.
seem to really like it that it's
I love
turning
it.
into this. And and
I
and
absolutely love it.
and why can I ask? Not that I
I just
disagree with you, but
it's just a different dimension of football. It's brilliant to see something that's been like thrown to be so undervalued over the last maybe what 12 years or so since Rory Delap stopped doing them. Thrown to be so undervalued, and now it's nice to see something that's such an important part of football so valued again.
absolutely,
Used
yeah.
as a weapon and another like bow in your arrow bit, another arrow in your quiver, or
Hmm.
as a phrase to speak. And like I just love seeing it. I love seeing another way of playing football. I love seeing all these different ways of playing football and the way people make these things work for them. Yeah, it's just brilliant.
Absolutely, yeah. Because at the end of the day, this is a game with tiny margins, and if you can shore up your defense, which means you concede maybe one or less than one goal a game, and you have yourself a guarantee, like Michael Coyote is almost providing of at least one goal
Yeah.
a game. That's a really, really easy avenue into a lot of points over the season. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, I completely get it. Do you think we should be looking to? I mean, we have appointed a set piece coach, but should we be looking to do more with set pieces and throw-ins, maybe?
Absolutely. Especially with the players we have. So we have like Dan Burn, Nick Waltermada, these sort of tall, good aerial players who can get the head on the ball, knock it down for someone, or head it towards goal themselves. I mean, like with throw-ins especially, I think we do send players forward for them. We've seen obviously we send players forward, but I don't know if we're sending players into the right areas. I think that's
Hmm.
something for the coaching staff to obviously look at and see sort of how Brentford are doing it, for instance, because yeah, Brentford have got a set piece coach as a manager now, so sort of Keith Andrews knows what he's doing with all that. But
Absolutely.
you just see like what Michael Kyoto is doing, where he's throwing it to, who he's got there. Like Kevin Schade scored from one yesterday, didn't he? Obviously, which is what we talked about.
Hmm.
And the positions that we're all in works for them. So we need to sort of implement something like that, I think.
Absolutely. And the fact that Kevin Schade scored from that, which is still pretty much a set piece, tells you about everything you need to know about how effective they are, because Kevin Schade
Hmm.
is far from the tallest player on Brentford's team. So the fact that he was the one who got on the end of that chance shows you how effective that can be for us.
Hmm.
The second goal by Brentford was a penalty by Igor Thiago, a penalty given
Oh,
away by Dan Burn, which cost him his place on the pitch. Did you
yeah.
think that penalty was warranted?
The second one, the one that was actually given as a penalty, absolutely not. Never a
Mm-hmm.
penalty. There's no contact. Honestly, I don't know what Watford has gone down under.
Mm-hmm.
I
I,
really
I
don't know what he's gone down under.
I think I agree with you, but then obviously we're going to come on to the first VAR instance
Yeah.
where he probably should have already been off.
Well, I don't know because I'm in two minds about it. I think there is enough contact for it to be a penalty, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely don't think it's a yellow card for simulation. But then the second one was definitely a yellow card for simulation, so it doesn't
Yeah.
even out that sort of thing. But At the same time, even the first one is probably foul. I'm not going to stand here and defend Dan Burn because it is definitely a foul. It did look
Mhm.
like it was coming. It looked like he was going to get that yellow card for that whole second half.
Yeah.
But that should have been given as a penalty. Is it worthy of a yellow card though? Is my question. I don't know.
Yeah, it is a tough one because on the one hand, you have to say we got away pretty lucky with the first VAR shout.
Yeah.
But one thing I completely do not understand is if you do then get away with that VAR shout and you have a man who got away with something and is already on a yellow card, why not take him off? I
Everyone's saying
was
this, aren't there, at the
I
moment?
was
Yeah.
screaming at my TV, take him off, and then he gave away a penalty, which I mean that really frustrates me because it's not often that Eddie Howe is the one who frustrates me. But yesterday, I think he got it all wrong. I think he got it wrong with his substitutions. I think he got it wrong by just simply trying to do the same thing as we did against West Ham because clearly something is not working. As you said, right now we're right in front of an international break, so the perfect moment to rip up the script and
hmm
start over again. Because the one goal we haven't yet talked about, the third goal. You
Poor.
did touch upon it briefly
Yeah.
before, saying that it is Botman's
I think it is
fault.
Botman's fault. Yeah.
I think I agree with you. Yeah, it's harsh to say he's got to be quicker, but he could also just go down. He could slide tackle, get the
Oh,
ball
yeah.
away, just
hmm
react with a bit more. Yeah,
It's a lack of awareness. It's fundamentally
exactly.
a lack of awareness from Sven Botman, which
Mhm.
is not something that I think I've ever said about Botman, to be honest with you. So
Yeah,
it's quite disappointing to see him do it at that moment in time. I think just
absolutely.
touching on what you were saying there as well about sort of being frustrated with Eddie yesterday
Hmm.
and his substitutions. Personally, for me, I don't think he gets substitutions right a lot of the time. I think his substitutions are one of the weakest parts of his managerial game.
Hmm.
Don't get me wrong, love Eddie. Think he's one of the best managers in this country at the moment. I'm not obviously saying anything about Eddie. I love Eddie. I don't want to see him go. I think he's the best manager we've probably ever had. But I just think with substitutions, either does them too late, so they don't have enough time to get into the game,
Yeah.
does them too early, so they have too much time and are overthinking it,
Hmm.
or makes the wrong call. Sort of yesterday, like you said, Dan Burn should have been off and Lewis Hall should have probably been on for him. And then after Dan Burn gets sent off, who's the first player we see coming on? Apart from Hall? Joe Willock. Why?
Yeah. Um, yeah, you do touch upon something which is definitely worth talking about. This is why it's great to have different voices on the podcast because I don't necessarily agree with what you're saying about Eddie
hmm
Howe's substitutions. I mean, you're not wrong. He's not known for being a substitution mastermind, so there is definitely something to be said for that. But I think the problem with Eddie Howe's substitutions is more so with the recruitment than with him because I
Okay.
think we struggle with having different profiles. If we want to bring off a winger and bring on another winger, unless we bring on Murphy, who is pretty much starting every single game right now, you are bringing the same type of winger, which is someone
Yes.
who runs in behind, who brings space, who brings energy. The same goes for our midfielders. When you take off Tonali or Bruno or Joe Linton and bring on Ramsey or Willock, actually Miley is one of the only ones who is a slightly different profile because I think he does bring some control on the ball.
hmm
And in defense, it's exactly the same thing. It's fullbacks who are the same profile, with Livramento kind of being the exceptions. It's center backs being almost completely the same profile. We don't
hmm
have enough differentiation in the squad, which means Eddie Howe just simply can't really change up the team while we are playing a game. I also think there should be more communication on the pitch when Eddie
hmm
Howe is making subs, because when other teams are making subs, I often see them come running onto the pitch with a piece of paper in their hand. I never
Yeah.
see this with Newcastle, meaning
Nope.
we simply aren't reactive enough. But yeah, it's that profile issue which is more importantly for me. But the one thing I do want to criticize Eddie on with his substitutions, and something you did touch upon as well, is the timing. He does
hmm
often wait quite long. For
Yeah.
example, with Osula against Fulham.
Yeah, exactly. It is a valid point. Like, I like your point you've made there about the differentiation in the players.
Mhm.
That's something I've never really thought about too much, but It's a very interesting point that because if you look at sort of the backups for who started yesterday, so Pope
Hmm.
and Ramsdale, they're both goalkeepers, but they're different kinds of keepers. So that one, there is a bit of differentiation, but
Hmm.
the keepers, like
Yeah.
we're not ever going to play two of them in the same game unless obviously what happened yesterday happens. But then you look at like Trippier's backup is probably at the moment probably Kraft at the moment because we haven't got
Hmm.
anyone else fit, and they have quite similar sort of good defensively. Trippier's a bit more attacking than Kraft,
Hmm.
but they're both good defensively. Shaw's like a younger version of Shah, just a bit more
Hmm.
composed, I
Yeah.
would say. Botman and Burn, yeah, similar types of players, both slow, big centre backs.
Hmm.
God, where's my screen froze? Oh, there we go. Bruno, Tonali, Joe Linton, sort of you got Ramsey, Miley, Willock. I think Willock, Ramsey, and Joe Linton all want to be the same sort of player.
Yeah.
All three of them. And you've sort of got one backup for Tonali and Bruno, and that's Miley. I think Miley is probably the best out of the three backups at the
Hmm.
moment. I think
I
Lewis
agree.
Miley looks a phenomenal player when he comes on. I think he hasn't put a foot wrong this season, so why are we getting Willock on in the 77th minute and wait until the 90th to get what Miley on? Doesn't make any
Hmm.
sense to me, personally. But then you talk about the wingers, and that is one thing I definitely agree with. They are all the same type of player, pretty much,
Yeah.
apart from, like you said, Jacob Murphy, who
Hmm.
is just phenomenal in his own right. Like the way he crosses the ball is different gravy. Um, but then you look at the strikers we have. The strikers I think are interesting one to look at because obviously we have Voltemada, who's a
Hmm.
big guy, really good with the ball at his feet. But then you've got sort of Asula, who's energy, pace, driving at players, trying to beat them, getting the ball muddled up in his own feet half the time, which he does do.
Yeah.
And then you've got sort of Visser, who's I would describe him as an all-round striker, is how I describe him on Visser.
Hmm.
I think he's one of them all-round number nines, but can also play wide on the left, which may be an avenue for him to get into the team when he comes back.
Yeah.
Who knows? But like, sort of, we've got three different players up front. That is one thing I'm looking forward to about having Asula, Visser, and Voltemada, because
Hmm.
Voltemada will still be able to play up front even if he's playing the 10, and that's really exciting to have three players like that of different calibers. But yeah, like going back to the original point, you are completely right when you say we haven't got enough differentiation in the squad.
Absolutely. Which is something I saw a lot of analysts talk about over the summer with the Alanga signing. It wasn't necessarily criticism on Anthony Alanga because we all know
Hmm.
this is a class player. He came through the youth ranks at Manchester United. That still does mean something. But he is quite a similar profile to the likes of Gordon, to the likes of Barnes. So in games like yesterday, like last week against West
Yeah.
Ham, where we are facing quite a deep block, you need something different entirely.
Hmm.
That's why I was clamoring for a signing like Harvey Elliott all summer, for example, because he's a completely different type of player. He is more creative, more wants to do more with the ball at his feet instead of running in behind. I think
Yeah.
that's the kind of player we should be looking for next, just to differentiate the way we play football. Is there something else you would like to add on yesterday's result in particular, yesterday's performance, before we move on to a bit more of the squad talk? Because I think there's a lot of interesting points we've made here, which we can go into a little bit more depth about.
Well, I do have a little interesting segue off back what you've just said about Harvey Elliott.
Hmm.
So you obviously touched upon about the fact that we need a different player sort of in them wide areas like an Elliott.
Hmm.
Who do you reckon is available now to do that sort of role? Because obviously Harvey Elliott looks like he's going to. Well, he is at Villa now.
Yeah,
Obviously, like who's actually available to do that sort of role?
that's a really good question. At this moment in time, if we want to look at the Premier League,
Hmm.
let's go and have a look at the standings. I mean, we are in 14th. I wanted to look at teams below us for a January signing, but that's going to be
There's
a
only
tough
six
one.
of them.
Um, so we're probably going to have to step out of the Premier League to do so. In that case, I would recommend everybody to go over to the Magpie247 YouTube channel, where I have made a video talking about the future of Newcastle United's midfield. And in that video, I suggest, for example, Matthias Soulé, who plays for AS Roma. He
Oh,
is a number 10 slash right winger, Argentinian left footer, which is also something we don't have. We don't have any left footers on the wing, that is. Um, But yeah, I think he would be a really, really interesting option. And as long as Paulo Dybala is at AS Roma, there's always an opportunity to get Sule out because they don't really work together in the same starting 11. How about you? Do you have any players in mind?
You've just said the best signing I could think of. I didn't even think of Sula. What a player he is.
Yeah, I
What a
really like him as
player he
well.
is.
Yeah.
He's phenomenal. He's so good. And yeah, you're completely right. He offers something so different to what we have now.
Hmm.
I was going to say either him or if we could convince him to leave Bournemouth, I would think someone like Semenyo. Someone like that. He's different to what we've got.
Yeah,
He's a lot more. I think he's very directed at times, but also other times he's just magic. I think it's the way to
absolutely. Yeah.
describe him. He's just magic with the ball at his feet.
Hmm.
So I was thinking someone like that, but no, I think Sula's a better option and would be cheaper.
He's
I like
most
that. I
likely
don't know.
going to be cheaper. I mean, AS Roma is in a title race at this moment in time with
Hmm.
Inter. They are level on points, but I mean, Italy at this moment in time can't really pay above 50 million for one player,
No,
so it does mean clubs usually are open to selling. And with Bournemouth, there's every chance they finish above us this season in the Premier League and get some sort of European
exactly,
football, in which case I think it's highly unlikely we get Semenyo. But
exactly. Yeah.
he is a really interesting profile for us to look
Oh,
at. I
definitely.
do agree with that. Last season, I think at the end of the season, he ranked first for total shots on goal,
Hmm. I
and
think
he
he
had
was. Yeah.
51% of his shots with his right foot and 49% of his shots with his left foot. So
Which
that's
is ridiculous.
that's magnificent. That's
Ridiculous. You never see that in
unbelievable.
modern football.
Exactly. Yeah. He genuinely, I think he's the closest to Heung-min Son we have at this moment in time in the Premier League. I
Oh,
genuinely think that. I
yeah.
see a
That's
lot of
yeah.
resemblances between those two.
I've never thought of that either. That's a really good point as well. That's a yeah. He is very similar to Son actually, especially when
Mhm.
Son first came to the league and sort of first started
Absolutely.
making his name for himself. Yeah.
Mhm. So now we've got Semenyo filling out the Son role, and I mean Mickey van de Ven scoring some Son as
Oh,
goals in the
he's
Champions
so
League.
good. He's so
He's
good.
unbelievable.
He was great against Man United on Saturday as well.
I
Had a
thought so
fantastic
too.
game there.
Yeah, which he really needed because he was shocking against Chelsea, which
Oh yeah.
everybody at Spurs was. But yeah. All right. So those could be some very interesting players for us to look at. Do
Definitely.
you think having that wing fielder profile is the only possibility in midfield? Because this is a little bit of a spoiler alert. I have also in that video suggested a defensive-minded midfielder because I think when we face counterattacks, having that nice, neat little line in midfield of Joelinton, Tonali, Bruno, who pretty much stand next to each other, is starting to become a weakness as well because teams can cut through pretty quickly. What do you think about that?
I think it's like we touched on earlier. It depends on what we're going to do going forward. So if we're going to move to something with Watlamada as a 10,
Mm-hmm.
that's not going to work. Bringing in a 6 because you need to get Tonali and Bruno both in that team. I think
Mm-hmm.
because you miss something when you haven't got both of them together. I think
Yeah.
so. It would depend on sort of what we do in the future. If we stick with the formation we've got now, I think a 6 would work really nicely just behind
Mm-hmm.
sort of a Tonali and a Bruno. A 6 behind both of them would just be oh, that would be what you want, really. I think, to
Absolutely.
be fair, I already think we've got a player who's got a good profile of 6. I think we've got two who could do a 6 one day in Fabian Schär.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as a 6, just pinging the ball places from a deep position. I think
Yeah.
that would work really well. And I think Malik Chow, I know he's a fantastic
Hmm.
centre back, but I think, again, he's got legs on him. He's good on the ball. He's very composed on the ball. He's got a pass for it on him.
Yeah.
I think he's got a really good future if we decide to do it. If we get another right foot centre back in
Mm-hmm. I think,
as a 6.
yeah, I think that could be a really interesting shout. I think that's a really interesting point and one which I haven't really considered, especially playing Tiao at CDM.
He's a similar
So,
profile to
yeah,
Shaw, though, isn't he? So
yeah, you're right. You're right. And actually, when he played right back for a bit of a
he looked
spell,
good. He looked
he
good.
looked pretty good. He's really, really calm and comfortable on the
He's
ball.
such a good football player.
I think Cher maybe lost a bit too much of his physicality to play in midfield, but Thiago is
Yeah.
definitely a really interesting option. Yeah. All right, for some games for us. And I was thinking about that. Actually, Xabi Alonso over the summer, when coming from Leverkusen to Real Madrid, had to transition from a team who is most comfortable playing with a back five to a team playing with the back four, and he smoothed over that transition by starting off in the Club World Cup with the back five. But the centerpiece of that back five was Aurélien Tchouameni, who stepped into midfield when they were in possession. Maybe a style like that could be really, really interesting for us as well, because it could give us different options in building up. It could mean we could build up through the middle when Thiaw steps in the midfield. It could also mean Thiaw doesn't step in the midfield, and we allow both our fullbacks to get a little bit higher up on the pitch. Was that something you were interested in trying out?
That's a very yeah. So it just depends on sort of if you have Chow sort of stepping up, like you say, like Tchouaméni did for Real Madrid, which worked well, and it does work well, and you see sort of you have that extra body in possession. It just depends on who's playing next to, I think Malik Chow. I think, I think it's a very good idea because your fullbacks can get higher as well because they have someone facilitating the play and dictating the play to them. But then you need two strong centre backs to anchor the defence and play next to him. So obviously we've got one of them. Sven Botman's phenomenal and is great to
Absolutely.
play alongside him. But then you need to sign someone to play the right side of him. So you need definitely need a right foot there first of all because without a right foot there, I don't think it works.
No, you're
But
right. Yeah.
it needs to be someone who can play, is a great tackler, has legs on them as well. So that's the issue, finding someone to fit that mold to play alongside him. But
Yeah.
I think him stepping up into that midfield role would be phenomenal for us.
Yeah, I think you're right. Did you have any players in mind for that centre back role?
I'm struggling to think of one at the moment. I just had another thought there though. I just thought maybe you play it so you play two, you still play back four,
Yeah.
but the way you play it is your fullback, whoever starts at fullback, so defends the wider areas when we're out of possession, switches into centre back when we're in possession, and Shaw pushes on centrally.
That
So you
could be
still
a
have that,
really interesting one as well. Which means
and then
Burn probably still has a future with us.
yeah, exactly. And then you have a right centre mid push out wide to play like the right back wall in attack, so they're overlapping the right winger still. So you still
Yeah.
have someone overlap and create them overloads on the right hand side. Could actually be a really interesting way of playing football.
Absolutely, yeah. Especially with the energy we have in our squad and
Exactly, yeah. It
in
fits
our
us perfectly.
fullbacks.
Fits us really well, that.
Absolutely, and this is just something we need to be looking for to take those next steps. Is just moving, not necessarily moving away from our blueprint because the blueprint is what got us here, but
Yeah, it's
adding new
modifying it.
blueprints. Yeah, exactly.
Modify it, yeah. We can't play the same way in every game. Because that's how you
Absolutely.
lose games.
Absolutely, especially against an opponent like yesterday's opponent, Brentford. They
Yeah.
maybe can't match us for talent, but what they can match us for is recruitment, is data analysis, is preparation for the game. And if we allow them to basically read everything about us right before the game and know exactly how we're going to line up, what we're going to do, then we give them every tool necessary to defeat
Exactly.
us. And that just simply has to stop. All right. Before we end on the Brentford game, or we end off the section about the Brentford game, I suggest we listen to, for one, a very big rant from Paul about yesterday's result, and then
Oh, this will be
afterwards, and then afterwards, some thoughts from Kyle as well.
I am trying, really, really fucking trying. I've actually came out of the car to record this because I don't want to be shouting and screaming and fucking throwing a tantrum in the bloody house where the kids are at. But even there, like, what's he doing? Why are they losing that every week? I'm trying my very best not to be in this Eddie Howe out sort of campaign or Eddie Howe out on social media. But with each passing time that we're getting fucked away from home, that we're scraping performances, even at best, really, at home, it becomes more and more difficult. Some of the substitutions, where do you start with all of that? There's some players that he should be taking off, he isn't. Some players that he is taking off that he shouldn't. And it's just absolutely nutty fucking bat shit crazy. The entire I don't honestly see what he's seeing. I don't want to see him get an easy ride in the post match press conference. It just screams of his Bournemouth demise. It really, really does. And this is with all the credit he's got in the bank. But the thing is, you can have all the credit you want in the bank, but you've got to be judged on the current season, how you're currently managing the situation. And we are dropping like an absolute stone down that table. And we've got Manchester City next. The only silver lining to that cloud is that Dan Burn will not be able to play. He will not be able to play Dan Burn in that game. Anyone in the mother could have seen, he could have given away a spot kick. That could have easily been given. He's on a yellow card. I'm taking all of this evidence, I'm gathering all of this up, and I'm thinking, get that fucking man off the pitch. He's playing out of position, and he's absolutely and utterly struggling away. You've got an unbelievably talented left back sat beside you, and you're not bringing them on. You're not making the changes. Harvey Barnes, like I said, Harvey Barnes coming off, and he's our only outlet and our only hope of getting a goal in this game. He comes off. He leaves Dan Burn on, despite the fact that he's having an absolute and utter fucking mare. And you just know, Sod's Law is going to happen. You can see it a mile off, and he gets sent off. And you're just like, a difficult fucking situation has just literally become 10 times more difficult. Thank you very much. We've seen changes of goalkeepers. What's happened with Pope and Cad? I mean, he's always been a good shot stopper. He has been able to catch the ball before. His kicking's always been absolutely fucking dreadful. It's not even funny. We were having a laugh midweek when he was literally picking the same spot on the pitch where the ball kept going out on every one of his goal kicks. It's not funny. It's serious. We are dropping like an absolute lead weight. Down the league table, we are deep in trouble. We've been here before. The signs are all over the place. There's got to be some sort of issue. You've got fantastic players who are playing absolutely dog shit. You've got Alanga, a 55 fucking million pound player. And I've seen better playing non-league football. Again, I tried to stick up for him, trying to say that his quality is going to come through eventually. However, I cannot be oblivious. The definition of insanity is repeating the same thing and expecting a different outcome. That is what we have done time and time and time again this season, and it is embarrassing, it is painful, and watching it just cuts deep inside. You're watching us make the same mistakes all over, and this isn't a reaction to one or two bad performances. No. Even when we've won this season, we've looked completely and utterly dead behind the ice. We've scraped through, we've scraped past, we haven't done enough to sort of warrant a good performance or scoring a couple of goals. We've done the bare minimum to get by in a certain phase of the game. We've rode our luck. We've had a lucky refereeing decision. We haven't had one game this season where you can sit and go, that was a great performance from start to finish. We controlled it. We scored a couple of goals. They never seemed like they were going to get into the match. And I don't want to hear any excuses about the schedule or anything else like that. These are pampered, well-played players. We've got the best squad that we've ever had. The best. So I'm not say, the schedule, they've got to play 2-3 times a week. My heart fucking bleeds. 6 or 7 days a week I generally work. Morning, noon and night. Balancing everything in. Then you've got a family life, you've got a wife, you've got kids to see to, jobs, responsibilities. And I don't have it as hard as what many, many, many other people do. But these have got first-class travel, chauffeur-driven. They've got personal chefs. They've got the best sports scientists, the best doctors, the best recovery, fantastic facilities. The club have invested tens of millions of pounds on the latest, top-notch, top bollocks equipment. These are not the days when we've got Mike Ashley saying, just go round to the local council depot and get another fucking wheelie bin and fill it full of fucking ice. I'm absolutely in fucking raging, and that is why I've had to just come outside to record this, because I don't want to be like losing my shit in front of the kids and everything like that. The littlest. What's going on? What's going on? Why aren't they doing this? I thought they were good. Yeah. Well, we all thought they were fucking good getting into the Champions League, and I think some of them are too busy listening to the own hype. It's like, it reminds me of the team that went down with your Owens and Duffs in. They believed in their own name value, their own name brand. You've got to earn the right. You've got to earn the right, and you've got to be able to step up and do the tough stuff and do the nitty gritty to earn everything you get in this game. You can't rely off your name value. Well, I'm such and such a player. I'm an England international. I'm a such and such international. It means fuck all. It's great to write down on a bit of paper. It's fantastic to look on after you've finished your career. But whilst you're doing it, you've got to put the work, the commitment, the effort, the skill, the dedication. And we are not doing it. We're not doing the basics at the moment. It's terrible to watch, even when we're winning. This season, we have been absolutely atrocious. And I don't know how the fuck we're sitting in the top 6 in the Champions League or whatever we are. We've got trips to PSG, and if you play like that, we've got trips not as far very, very shortly. And if you do absolutely gutless, spineless shit like what we've been doing recently, we're going to get found out. It's only going to get more difficult, and it's down to the players. The players have got the talent there. They're making individual errors. They're not putting in the effort. And you tell me this season, one performance where you've seen in an intensity is our identity. Where's the shenanigans? Where's the dark arts gone? Where's all of the things that brought us to the dance? If you're not as good as what you think, you've got to go back on the game plan and go back to what worked. And we're not. We've simply not been intense. There's been none of that pressing from the front. There's been none of it. The midfield hasn't looked as conducive and as free-flowing. We haven't got bodies forward enough. We're not getting around the striker and supporting enough. You've got new signings, the likes of Alanga, who's come in, no assists, no goals, no nothing, devoid of confidence, tripping over the ball. He's quick as shit. He's like lightning. We see nothing of it. You see absolutely and utterly nothing of it. Oh, he's offside. Oh, he's give the ball away. Oh, he's run into somebody. And it's similar sort of situation with Gordon. It's like they're just focused on name value and they think that they've made it. You've done nothing. You've proved nothing until the end of your career. If you don't put in the effort, there are other teams that will outwork you. And like I said today, Brentford weren't fantastic. Brentford weren't great. But they were still better than us. And that's absolutely fucking tragic. A club of our size compared to them, it's like a T-Rex and fucking Barney the dinosaur comparing the two. And again, it's with the greatest of respect to Brentford, because again, I've got a lot of respect for them. I agreed with what they said over the Vista thing, 1,000%. Signings have been atrocious. We've spent money. You can't say that we haven't spent money. We've spent good money. We signed Vista. He's still no closer to being actually able to even train properly for a session. Alanga, it isn't just working. Yes, we've missed one or two with injuries, but we should have a squad. We went into a squad. We let one left back leave in target. Lewis Hall has had his injury issue, so it just leaves you with Dan Burn. You are asking for trouble. Nick Pope, it just seems to be, it's like a friend of the family. I can't drop him or for whatever reason. If somebody isn't playing well, isn't listening to instruction, isn't doing what is expected of him, then there has to be consequences. And then one player gets dropped because they're not playing well, and then that sends the message out to the rest of the players that there are standards at the club. And they know, well, shit, if I don't, maybe out. No. The likes of certain players, your Burns of the world, no, they'll play week in, week out regardless. Doesn't matter whether you have a great game or a shocker like today. It really doesn't matter, because you'll still be fucking playing because you're one of Eddie's blue chip players. And look, I haven't listened to any press conferences or anything. I've literally watched the match and I've said, you know what, I'm not going in the office ranting and raging. I said, I'm going to go out in the car and I want to get my thoughts down for that match. We've now got an international break, so we've got to sit there as a fan base and stew away. I don't want to hear any sort of criticism for anybody raising gripes or complaints or out like that, because they are justified. I will say, I really don't want to change the manager and everything else that comes with that, but you've seen how ruthless they were with Becky Langley. All the success that she had over previous seasons, and they got rid of her because she wasn't doing what was needed in the current season. Eddie Howe has had unmitigated, huge successes at Newcastle United. He's got loads of money in the bank. However, this season, he hasn't done it. The players haven't done it. I feel sorry for the likes of Malik Chow. I really, really do. You know, done absolutely nothing wrong. Your Tenalis of the world, your Bruno I thought was okay today. There are players who have done nothing wrong, but at the same time, it's just like it's simply not good enough. It's embarrassing. There should be no excuses, no mitigation. I don't hear about players that are missing. If anyone, Gordon's missing. What's Gordon done? 19 games that he's been involved in, no assists. 21 games, no goals for an elite level forward. Are you kidding me? We need to be seeing much, much, much more than that. Hey God, I want to try and calm down a little bit and do a reaction video for Magpie247. But in the meantime, Ian, I'm sorry that this one has gone on a little bit, but I do feel a little bit better for getting that off my chest. Back over to you, Ian.
So it finishes Brentford 3, Newcastle United 1 at the Gtech, and again, just fucking shit. I said at the start of this, when I did the voice notes prior to kick-off, that he stood by the same players and they needed to perform today, and they didn't. They just didn't. They were shocking. But it's not just the players today. I think the manager needs questioned. I really do. I think Eddie, shocking today. Absolutely shocking. Because it was clear as day, as soon as Dan Burn got that yellow card and he was getting rinsed and rinsed and rinsed, you keep him on, you keep him on, and you keep him on. He nearly gives away the first penalty, which could have went either way on VAR. Then 5 minutes later, he gives away another fucking penalty, and then gets sent off. And the first thing you see is Lewis Hall ready to come on as soon as that's happened. How can you stand by Dan Burn when he's getting rinsed again and again and again at left back when he's not a fucking left back to begin with? Everybody knows that. Even Dan Burn knows he's not a left back, and he still persists with him until he gets sent off. Nick Pope was fucking shocking against West Ham last week, and who gives away one of the goals today. Fucking Nick Pope, missing punches, leading to goals. I said it the first half voice note. He missed a punch. It could have went either way. It did last week against West Ham, and it did again in the second half. The players that he keeps standing by every single week are letting him down. And this was an argument exactly the same time last year. His favourites are going to get him sacked. And that's exactly the same conversation we're having right now. Or his favourite's going to get him sacked again. Because he keeps picking players, the same players, when we've got a squad there. 2 years ago, when we're in the Champions League, you could say, right, we don't have anybody else. You play the same 11. But he keeps playing the same fucking players, and they keep letting him down. They keep letting him down. How do you go for? What do you do, and where do you go from here? The last time I checked, we were 2 points out the relegation zone, and we are showing no signs of improving at all. Yeah, we're doing all right in the cups. We're all right in Europe. At the minute, 9 points from 12. But the league, your bread and butter, where you're meant to win and meant to do better, we're playing like that. That second half was absolutely atrocious from Newcastle. Again, you don't get Walter Mardy into the game at all. We're midfield, just not trying anything. Bruno was the best of our midfielders, and I wouldn't say he had an amazing game. You know what the worst thing is? Brentford didn't even play well. They didn't. If Brentford was streets ahead of win, it was like, I can see why they weren't. At 1-0 up, they didn't respond. The game was there for the fucking taking, and we didn't take it. like obviously, like every time I critique the manager, it's got to come with a caveat of don't sack the manager. You've got to get behind the manager and stuff. But Eddie, this isn't fucking good enough, man. It needs to turn around. Something needs to change in the mentality because your favourites are saying in press conferences like, "Oh, I've built enough credit over the years." It's not fucking good enough. There's a mentality of this team of comfort. There's players in that team that think, "Oh, I've built up enough credit in a different position, so I'm all right for the next whatever." There's complacency because they know they're going to get picked regardless. Whether they get beat West Ham 3-1, Brentford 3-1, doesn't matter. They'll get picked regardless. And it's not fucking good enough. It needs to change. Otherwise, his favourites are going to get him sacked.
And now we can freely move on to maybe a bit more fun of a topic, because for all our struggles in the Premier League, we have made it 9 out of 9 from our last 3 games in the Champions League, which means it's now 9 out of 12, making us sit very pretty in 6th position of the Champions League table. How are you feeling about that?
Well, I just wish we could carry that forward in domestic competitions, but yeah, honestly, it feels good. It feels like we're where we belong.
Absolutely, yeah. We did play at home. This week we faced Athletic Bilbao, who, I mean, on paper is actually, I think, quite a similar side to us. Some people might label them, people who don't watch enough football to have a really solid opinion, might label them as passion merchants like us. But yeah, I mean, hey, here we are. The passion got through in the end. I think it was a big advantage for us to play at home, because if we had to travel there, their support is pretty similar to ours. So we would have heard them. Is basically what I'm trying to say. But the performance was a really mature one, in my opinion. It didn't really look like we were going to lose the game at any sort of point. In my opinion, it didn't look like we got out of second gear again, which, for a team who's got 9 points in the Champions League, the only real time I can remember us getting out of second gear were the first half against Barcelona and the second half against Benfica. That's pretty much it, right?
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. Very much agree with that.
Absolutely. So, Kyle and Paul, please tell me what your thoughts were on the starting lineup against Bilbao.
Well, a 3-hour drive up for today's home game in the Champions League. I'm not complaining. I'm one of the lucky ones who've actually got a ticket. But after the weekend, I want to see a reaction. I don't want the only fireworks that I see today and this evening to be the ones in the sky as I'm recording this voice note. I want to see excitement. I want to see performances. I want to see some attacking play, some goals, some intent, and more importantly than anything else, and of course the 3 points, I want to see a reaction from the weekend. The weekend was explosive, but in a really, really bad way, an unacceptable way. And the players need to respond, and they need to show that they're hurting just as much as what the fans are. The fans will be behind them 1,000%. There's no doubt about that. But a reaction, a point to prove, and there should be more than a few players with a chip on the shoulder, wanting to get the business done tonight. And then, importantly, again at the weekend against Brentford. But looked at the team news. I think Murphy's unlucky. I think he's really unfortunate because he's one of the players who is consistently playing and consistently shining, and he's dropped to the bench. Is that injury related? Perhaps, possibly. 2 keepers on the bench, I don't like that. I'd rather you'd have played, I don't know, a Neve or somebody else on there, or at least for the experience. But I'm optimistic. I'm wrapping up warm. I'm looking forward to a good night's entertainment, and I'm looking forward to hopefully getting 3 points and matching our best ever Champions League performance of 9 points. Of course, that came under the Sir Bobby Robson comeback special, didn't it, last time that we got 9 points. But fingers crossed, a few goals for Newcastle United, a clean sheet, and most definitely the 3 points at the end of it, and to keep the Champions League dream alive. Fingers crossed.
And what's happening, everyone? It's Kevin, Magpie247. I hope you're all good. So, ahead of tonight against Bilbao, big Champions League night. The team is out, and yeah, I think the team, to be honest with you, is a bit of an insult to a couple of players within the squad, because Nick Pope, despite being absolutely shocking against West Ham, starts. Anthony Gordon who's been an absolute disgrace this season in the league, starts. Joe Linton, after his worst game playing for Newcastle last weekend, starts. Burn, after playing absolutely terrible at left back, and then saying in a press conference, I've gained credit from playing well at centre back, but gets to play constantly in a different position when he's not good there. He starts as well. And then your best player from last weekend, although it wasn't hard to figure out who that might be, Jacob Murphy, who's got 3 contributions in 3 games, is left out and is on the bench. Bewildering to me. I just don't understand. I don't understand how you can say in a press conference, "Oh, could have took the whole team out at half time, unusual feeling," and then proceeds to give nobody a chance. If Joe Linton is playing like that, how the fuck can you say to Lewis Miley and say to Jacob Ramsey, "Oh, you're fighting for your place"? If someone can play like that last week and keep their place in the team, I'd be fucking furious if I was one of them too. If I was Harvey Barnes, I'd be furious because Gordon, who played like he did last weekend, gets a game. Hall, if it weren't for fitness reasons, I'd be furious. Like, I'd be like, why aren't I in the team when he's playing like that? Like, you're meant to say competition for places and nobody's getting a game. Aaron Ramsdale, if I was him, I'd be furious. Like, Nick Pope was responsible directly for 2 goals on the weekend. But he starts again, and Eddie will always get the tag of Eddie having his favourites until shit like this is completely eradicated. It's just, for me, it's pathetic. It really is, because how are you meant to justify that to the group of players that are meant to be competing for said places? Like, it's like, if a player plays bad, you rotate, you bring them in to prove themselves. They can't prove themselves on if they're not getting on the field. Poor lineup, but I suppose half of them will turn up today and we might have a performance. Hopefully. I'm still furious off the weekend, to be honest with you, and I'm hoping some players can perform tonight, but I've got one eye on the weekend, thinking if some of them play well tonight, or they're just going to chuck it in the weekend and we get beat again. That's kind of where my head is at the minute, and I'm not happy with the team or certain individuals within said team, but yeah, that's the team, and hopefully we can get a good result tonight. How are the lads?
So the starting 11 for Athletic Bilbao was Pope, Burn, Botman, Chow, Trippier, with Joelinton, Tonali, and Bruno in front, and Gordon, Voltemade, and Barnes in attack. So basically, Gordon for Murphy was the only substitution that was made for the Brentford game, and that was also due to injury as well.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe something to be worried about?
No, I don't think so. 'Cause I think the way we played against Bilbao was enough to say them lads deserve to start against Brentford, and the only change was because of injury.
Yeah.
So realistically, no, I don't think it's worrying because the performance level was good enough on
Mhm.
Wednesday night. But again, the only worry for me from that game properly was, like you said, we didn't get our second gear, and I think if we can get out of and get into third, fourth, sort of start playing better, obviously the points will come both
Mhm.
in Europe like we're getting them and domestically as well. So no, I'm not worried too much about the same lineup playing both of them
Yeah.
at all.
No, I get it. Yeah, the performance especially warranted them starting over the weekend. I think I was more so talking about the potential for injuries and having to rotate. But
Mm,
then again, it is now an international break, so it's quite logical to see our strongest 11
yeah.
on on the pitch for both games. But we have now made it, as I said before, 9 out of 12 in the Champions League. Before we get into this particular game, where do you think we're going to finish? Maybe start
Well,
with the league table and then afterwards what round we can
do you
reach.
know what? My first thing with the league table is if we don't get top 24 now,
Hmm.
which is still mathematically possible, we don't get top 24.
It is,
It will
yeah,
be an It will be an embarrassment, and it will
absolutely.
very much be an embarrassment. I would say we're definitely getting top 12. I don't know where in the top 12 yet. I don't know whether
Hmm.
we're going to be in that top 8 or whether we're going to be in sort of that playoff round.
Hmm.
But I definitely see a top 12 place, which is phenomenal, first of all. In terms of where we'll make it to in total, in terms of, I can actually see a quarter-final performance this year.
Yeah.
I can see us reaching the quarters
I don't think
and giving
that's
it
an
a good go.
unrealistic shout. Absolutely not. The thing is, we have given ourselves the best possible platform to be with the first eight, which is an unbelievable place for us to be. We saw Aston Villa be with the first eight last season as well, and they reached the quarterfinal against Paris Saint-Germain, which they very nearly got out of in the
Brilliant
end.
game of football.
That
Brilliant game of football
absolutely
that was.
was. Absolutely was. Without Donnarumma, I genuinely think Aston Villa at
Oh yeah.
least take it to extra time. So that just means anything can happen, and I think there's a lot of teams you would like to draw before drawing Newcastle.
Mhm.
However,
I agree with that.
we do have to start getting out of that second gear. The next games are away from home, which is something we have also been pretty much blessed by. The only away game being on the road to Belgium, to a side who is making their Champions League debut. How good they might be. I mean, I know how good they are in Lyon, but it's still the disparity between them and Newcastle, for example. It's more than 4-0. So
Yeah.
that should have always and was a win for us. The home games, we were huge favorites to get the 3 points in as well, which again we did. So no complaints. We played the game we needed to play. Didn't have to come out of second gear for most of it. But can we? Is more so what I'm trying to say.
Mhm.
Now we're going to have to travel to France, to a Marseille side who is now starting to need the points because they have dropped one too many. We also have to travel to Germany to face off against Leverkusen, another team who probably has dropped a bit more points than they would have liked at this stage, and is now settling in more so into the style of play of their new manager after the whole Erik ten Hag fiasco at the start of the season. PSV is probably a must-win at this point because it's at home for us, and uh, PSV have now really, really kicked on and started to play some really good stuff. But
Yeah.
if you
Oh yes.
if you look at the names, it's still a must-win for us. And then there's Paris.
Well, we've done it once.
we have, but
We would have
that
done it twice if it wasn't for a dodgy referee call.
absolutely, I completely agree. But that wasn't European champions Paris Saint-Germain. We also have to add to
True.
that.
Very true. Very true.
So what kind of points total do you see us ending up on?
First things first, I think you've made some very interesting points there again. I think I agree with you that Union was a game we should be winning, but
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, I wouldn't discredit them because they played very well in their debut Champions League season.
They
They
did, yeah,
took the game to Atletico Madrid as well as taking the game to us a bit.
absolutely.
Probably should have got a
Battered
goal against us,
PSV.
to be fair. The battered PSV, who
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, but what they did to Napoli PSV.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you go and do that to the
Do,
Serie A champions?
do you want to get into it very briefly? Because I've got a short answer on this.
Go for it. Go for it. Go for it.
So the thing with PSV, they sold pretty much their entire front line over the summer. Luke de Jong went to Porto, Bakayoko went to Leipzig, Noah Lang went to Napoli, and their attacking midfielder Tillman went to Leverkusen. It took them a
Hmm.
little while to get going in attack. They signed three strikers, or no, they signed two strikers and still had one more. The strikers they signed are Alassane Plea from Borussia Mönchengladbach, who you might know.
I'm
Um,
very familiar.
exactly, there you go. Oh, he's been linked with Newcastle quite a couple of times, hasn't he?
I'm Mönchengladbach in my German team as well, so
Oh, look, well, have a look at that. Well, the thing is, I like Plea as well, and he was coming into the Eredivisie with a lot of rave about him because the first few
hmm.
games he looked incredible, but then he got injured until January, which is a really, really sad case. That was really unfortunate to see. Then they brought back a different Dutch striker to the Eredivisie from Monaco, Myron Boadou, but he is not really playing. The third striker option they have is Ricardo Pepi, but he's got water in his knee, so he's recovering from that as
Ooh,
well. So what they've decided to do is they've decided to move one of their number 10s, who's still in the striker role. So he's interchanging with Ismail Saibari in at number 10 to kind of
okay.
continuously drag out one of the center backs into midfield or make the center back make the decision to let the midfielder go and run on his own, which is a really,
that's
really
clever.
tough decision to continuously make. And Yerdy Schouten, who is their ball-playing, deep-lying midfielder, he is now moved down to the center back role, but is still allowed to go anywhere on the pitch when the ball is at his feet, because they know the players around him, Jarek Gaziarowski, Mauro Junior, Serginho Dest, they all have the energy and the pace to cover for him. So it's just a really, really dynamic team. And the moment these players start to move around each other, man marking is impossible. Impossible against them. And I think that's what Napoli tried to do. They tried to put one man on the other one, which meant they got completely torn out of shape, and PSV demolished them.
It sounds to me very much like a total football system then.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
So they're taking things off the great Dutchman Johan Cruyff.
Then. Yeah. Which is, it's very clear to see at this moment in time. They've only started to do this for a month, maybe a bit more than that, but yesterday in the Eredivisie, they beat AZ, who are like
good team.
They are a good team. I'm trying to link them with the Premier League club. What club comes to mind when you hear a youth academy focused team where everybody asks the question, is this the year they can do it? But it turns out it actually isn't, because they can't seem to close the gap between the elite and them. That's pretty much
This
what
may sound weird. Palace.
Yeah. Actually, I agree with that. Palace is a really, really good shout. Palace at this moment in time in the Premier League and AZ in the Eredivisie are really similar, yet PSV beat AZ 5-1 yesterday.
Oh, wow. That's a big win.
Yeah, that's a big win. So they are cooking.
And we've got them in January.
We do, but I mean, there still shouldn't be any excuses. We should still beat them. But I did want to rectify this, because at the start of the Champions League season, we did an episode where we predicted the Champions League results, and I said PSV would be our easiest game, which now is looking like a pretty dumb
Union
thing to
will
say.
probably have been our easier game.
It'd probably
been Union, yeah.
Although I think
the team you know all about.
I actually, what do you think was the easiest game? Union
so
or
far, Union.
Benfica?
No, Union I think was easier.
Yeah, you think?
Benfica, I think Luca Baccaio caused us too many problems.
Yeah. I forgot about him. You might be right.
I think he was just on another day he scores 2 or 3 goals.
You're right. Yeah, and he was still looking for his first Benfica goal at that moment in time. So maybe
he's a cracking player. Like,
yeah, he is. It's a
he's
shame.
at Watford.
Yeah, he used to be, and he's Belgian as well. So I'm quite familiar with him. He was Sevilla's best player last season. So it was quite a shock to see him go to Benfica, in my opinion.
They're a good team, Benfica, though. Very good team.
You're right. Yeah, and with Mourinho as a coach as well,
yeah.
I'd quite like to play for him.
Love
as well.
Mourinho.
So maybe I do understand.
In fact, I only like Mourinho because he likes us. His connection with us is brilliant.
Fair, yeah, completely fair. I also don't really understand where it comes from, though. Do you know?
Sir Bobby Robson.
Oh,
so Mourinho was Sir Bobby's assistant at Barcelona before he came back up at Newcastle. So he got the love of Newcastle from Sir Bobby Robson.
Fantastic. Now I know. Well, there you go. Every single week, something new to find out on
I love Sir
the
Bobby
Magpie247. But yeah, I mean, how could you not love Sir Bobby?
Yeah, how could you not? But yeah, that's where Mourinho's love for Newcastle comes from. Genuinely, it's good story that.
Yeah, it is. I really didn't know.
Yeah.
All right.
On the subject of good stories, actually,
okay,
Bilbao. Our connection with Bilbao is a very interesting one as well. Have you read about this week?
No, I don't think so.
No? Oh, this is brilliant. This. So, when we played Bilbao in 1994, we played them in the UEFA Cup, now the Europa League game. In I think it was the quarters or the semi-final. They beat us 1-0. We beat them 3-2. So they went through on away goals because they went through on away goals because we beat them 3-2 at St James's and they beat us 1-0 in Bilbao. But a Bilbao fan got lost in Newcastle, missed his plane, couldn't get back. So the Newcastle's treated him like a local, looked after him, gave him a place to stay, all that sort of stuff. Made sure he wasn't paying for a pint, as we do up here.
As we do, yeah.
And then he eventually got a plane back to Bilbao, and all the Bilbao fans heard about this story. So when we played them in the return leg, and we went over to Bilbao, no Newcastle fan paid for a drink the whole time they were there. They
That
bought
is
every single
fantastic.
Newcastle fan that went over a drink,
That
and
is
they were never
so
paying for a
good.
beer. And so now, us and Bilbao have sort of like a mutual respect where we both love each other. And there's been a lot of videos coming out from when
Hmm.
they came over of our fans and their fans singing songs
Yeah,
together
I
in the
saw those
streets of
videos.
Newcastle.
Those surprised me because I didn't know about the backstory. So
It's
yeah,
brilliant. It's brilliant.
yeah,
It's
I
just one of the
really
things in
love it as
football.
well. Yeah,
It's just one of the things in football, isn't it? That makes you fall in love with the game even more.
absolutely. Yeah, that's what it's all about. It's the
Yeah.
community feel, and that's
Hmm.
something. I mean, that's one of the main reasons why Newcastle United is such a beautiful club.
We're
It's
brilliant
the
for it, yeah.
community, it's the city, and
Hmm.
Bilbao do resemble that as well, which I think
Oh
does
yeah.
help.
100%.
As for the Bilbao game, let's start off with talking about the first half because we haven't actually talked about
Talked
any.
about the game, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And there is one man we immediately have to talk about when talking about the first half against Bilbao, Dan Burn. What a header! I've never in my life
Never.
seen a header with that much curve and that much
Nope.
finesse. It's
How did he
unbelievable.
do it? How did he do it?
I genuinely normally I have an answer to everything. I was completely speechless when I saw that goal.
Literally.
It might
The only
even
thing I can
be
think.
better technique wise, might even be better than his Wembley goal, which is unbelievable.
Not as important though. Nowhere near as important.
Exactly. That's why I'm talking only technique.
Yeah, technique, yes, definitely, but nowhere near as important.
Yeah. But
Brilliant though.
I mean, okay, when talking about this goal, you also probably have to mention the fact that he's completely left alone there.
Yeah, that was weird defending.
It is, and it looks weird when you see the replay, but that's why it immediately reminded me of the Wembley goal. I remember when we scored that goal. Um, I think it was McAllister
McAllister marking
who
Dan
was
Burn.
marking Dan
Yeah.
Burn exactly, and the reason for that being is Eddie Howe is positioning Dan Burn in places during set pieces where defenders usually make the decision if the ball reaches him here, it's most likely not going to be dangerous because he's not
Hmm.
close enough to the goal. So we're not going to put any of the tall, really physical lads there because they don't expect us to drop the ball there. But if you have someone who is such an unbelievable header like Dan Burn is, and I mean, is there at this moment in time anyone in the Premier League who is better at headers than Dan Burn? I genuinely want to know. I genuinely want
Gabriel,
to know. He might be. But the thing with
he's the only
Gabriel is,
one.
is he better at headers or is Arsenal better at shithousing a set piece
Yeah,
into just about not making a mistake or a
that's a
foul?
very good point. That's a very, very good point.
Because I think that's a big part of Arsenal's set piece play is almost a foul analysis as much as an opponent's analysis in how far can we go before the referee blows us back. But with Dan Burn, it's the raw attributes of winning a duel, leaving a player in the dust,
Hmm.
heading a ball. Yesterday as well, there's this moment where then Dan Burn jumps over Igor Thiago and lands quite badly on his back.
Hmm.
When he's in midair, I remember thinking, how does this man leap so high up? I know he's tall, but it still doesn't make sense to me. As for the second goal, however, it's a header yet again, and this time by Joe Linton. What did you think about the attacking play for the second goal?
I think it was a really nice goal. I think Barnes does very well to get the ball back across the 6 yard box. I think Joelinton does very well to get above his man and head that ball in. I think it was just a very nice a bit of attacking play. I think Murphy did well as well in the attacking play for that as well because he switched the ball over, didn't he, to the left hand side from the right hand side, didn't he, in that build up for the
Mm-hmm.
goal, and then obviously Barnes got the ball, Joelinton got the header, and we went 2-0 up. And I think it was deserved as well. It was a very deserved goal. It was definitely coming.
Absolutely.
And I'm very happy it was Joelinton who scored it because the way he played on Wednesday night, I think he had a very good game. I think he deserved a goal from that game because it just didn't fall for him for the rest of the night. He was
Mm-hmm.
getting shot off, he was getting the chances, and he was playing well.
Yeah. Let's have a listen to what Kyle thought at the halftime interval?
So, half time at St James's Park, and it's 1-0 Newcastle following a brilliant header from Dan Burn from a set piece. Peter didn't have set pieces at the weekend, Paul, but 1-0 Newcastle at half time. But other than that, really, it's been kind of turgid and a bit shit, hasn't it?
I said you at full time. I wish it wasn't away, to be honest. Just get the points and go home. I said it was a bit of a meh type performance, and I stick by that. Defensively, I think we've been reasonably okay, but midfield hasn't covered themselves in glory. Gordon gave the ball away several times before he was eventually hooked. I don't know if he's not well or whatever. And we've done enough, but it's all a little bit too meh, and we need more energy. The passing needs to be crisper. They need to be moving it a lot faster. And I said in the note, like before the game, I wanted to see fireworks not only in the sky tonight but on the pitch, and I don't really think I've seen that so far.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a weird one. I think the two best players for Newcastle's been the two centre backs. Botman and Chow look relatively comfortable in this game. Burn with an absolute brilliant header, well worked set piece. Really beautiful header as well. Joe Linton had one ruled out for offside. But coming on to Anthony Gordon, like, I think you're giving him an excuse saying he's not well, to be honest.
He's making me feel sick.
Yeah, I think a lot of we gave him credit saying, oh, he'll step up for the Champions League game. He was fucking shocking tonight. In fact, it's probably one of the worst performances I've seen from a winger in a Newcastle shirt, period. It was absolutely shocking, and for me, cannot retain his place in the team. Not a chance.
If Overton hears that, what you've just said there, he'll do the little mini lap of his front room, I bet.
Morgan Amalfitano with your heart out. But no, it was. But they've made changes at half. Obviously, they need to make changes, I think. They've changed out Gordon after 40 minutes, which wasn't a surprise. But two teams cancelling each other out, but we have got the lead, and we haven't really.
That's an important thing.
Yeah, we haven't really had any chances against. We've tried it. We'll give the ball away a couple of times, but we've been fairly comfortable in the game. And if we can go up another level, similar to the way we did against Benfica, I think we can
improve the bloody passing.
Yeah, like I say, if we go up again like we did against Benfica, we can really put these to the sword. But yeah, it's been one of them halves. But I'll report back at full time.
Yeah, completely agree. I think that game was a pretty perfect example of the games where we need to utilize a player like Joe Linton, because from the start of the game, it was immediately quite clear that Bilbao were going to sit in and defend against us. You can't really blame them for that either, especially when you have a look at the players they were missing out injured. Iñaki Williams, Nico Williams, Sunsets.
They're the big three.
Yeah, the big front three. That's debilitating for any side. So it's understandable why they chose defense. But over the summer, we talked about Joe Linton joining up the striker when playing against the low block, which allows us the opportunity to play a long ball for him to bring it down towards one of our wingers. And that's exactly what we did against Bilbao quite often. Joe Linton was running up really high. I thought Dan Burn was often getting amongst it really high as well, which is something that is pretty interesting, but is also something I only want to see him do when he's playing left back, please.
Yes, oh yeah.
But yeah, it was a really, really mature performance against Bilbao. We didn't really trouble ourselves. I thought the assist from Harvey Barnes, as you mentioned, was really good as well, because it was once again, just like the goal he scored against Brentford, one of these moments where he could have cut onto his right foot like he always does.
But use his left.
Exactly. He thought about it one more time and found a better option. And that's what I want from him, because if you're a one-trick pony, the Premier League is not the place for you to be. Did you want to add something about that?
I do have one thing I want to add from that game, yes. There's one thing that no one's been talking about from that game. It annoys me a bit that people aren't talking about it, just because people are so quick to criticise him at the moment, but no one's talking about this. So with Gordon in that game, so obviously we saw him go off with a hip injury, a recurrence of hip injury he's had for a while now, hasn't he, really? He went down with it last season, came back with it again this season. So, but the fact that no one's talking about the fact that before he goes down, we are on the attack. We're attacking. Gordon makes a fantastic run, runs the whole length of the pitch while clutching his hip, at full pelt still though, makes it into the opposition box and then goes down. The fact that he runs the entire length of the pitch to get forward for that attack and try and help the team, it just shows what we asked for in Newcastle. Obviously, under Rafa, we had the banner. We don't ask for a team that wins. We ask for a team that tries.
Yeah.
And Anthony Gordon is the true spirit of that, I think. Yes, he may not have the goals and assists right now. Yes, may not be playing his best football in black and white right now. Okay, granted he isn't. But he's such a hard-working player and embodies the spirit of what Newcastle United means. And he's a player that I definitely want to stay at my football club. All the people who are saying he doesn't try hard enough for this stuff is absolute rubbish. He's one of the hardest working players we've ever had.
Yeah, I completely agree with your analysis on him there. I think Gordon is a pretty interesting player to have a quick standstill with and talk about, because as you said, he's suffering from quite a bit of criticism, especially from our own fan base at this moment in time, and not all of it is warranted. Yeah, it is. It has been a long time since he's had a goal involvement in the Premier League, which doesn't make for pretty reading. That's true, especially for an attacker. But if you do have a look at the all-round picture, which you were talking about, if you do have a look at how much he gives for the team, how much he runs, how much energy he brings, I know it doesn't mean much, but I think it's a good way of resembling this. I watch every single Newcastle game, of course. And 1 or 2 weeks ago, I still brought in Anthony Gordon into my fantasy Premier League team, which, I mean, I now obviously regret. But the reason I did so is because you can't say Gordon isn't getting into areas or isn't getting himself up the pitch or isn't asking for the ball in dangerous areas. It's just that final product hasn't really been there for him, but it hasn't really been there for any of our attackers at this moment in time. And Gordon has had the injury over the back end of last season, which meant he missed quite a lot of games. Barnes was in some incredible form back then as well, so that meant he missed more games. I do think, even though he sounds like a really intelligent player, he is more of a confidence player than we probably think he is. And his confidence must be pretty low, because I do think he reads all of the criticism about him as well. I saw a poll last week with the top 10 most hated Premier League players, and he was in second. And
that's not a surprise, is it really?
It isn't, but it also, that pisses me off, because he doesn't deserve it.
Oh, yeah.
There are 200, 300, 400 players in Europe who are dirty, who commit fouls left, right, and center, where it's an absolute nightmare to play against them, who can't shut their mouths against the referee, against opposition players. And Gordon just has funny hair.
Yeah. Well, he was a bit of a shithouse before he came to us.
Yeah, I mean, he is a bit of a shithouse, but you have to be a bit of a shithouse. But he isn't a prick to the referee. He isn't someone who throws, for example, a Granit Xhaka a couple of years ago, who throws the captain's armband on the pitch and then walks off. That's absolutely awful. That's something Anthony Gordon would never do. He will always drench his shirt in sweat for the team he's playing for. And yes, it might not be as pretty all of the time, and yes, he might not be as effective all of the time, but it's never for a lack of effort, and it's never for a lack of professionalism with him as well, in my opinion.
That list that you saw about the hated players list, I'm going to assume there's a couple more Newcastle lads on there.
There was only one more. I think it was Joe Linton in at number 3. Yeah.
And then first, I'm going to guess, was Bruno Fernandes.
Yep.
Yeah. Everyone hates him though.
Yeah, which I also, I mean, I get why that is. I think the fact that he is pretty ugly doesn't help him, which it sounds bad. It sounds bad, but I don't mean it bad. I genuinely think his looks make a lot of people hate him. But I actually quite like him, if I'm honest.
Can't stand him. He never stops whinging. Nothing's ever his fault.
But he's the captain, though.
Yeah, but he was doing it before he was captain.
Yeah.
He was like this. He just whinges about everything. I hate it.
Yeah, I get it.
Not fit on a football
you
pitch.
love him or you hate him, isn't it?
Yeah, he's like Marmite.
Fernandes. Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
I suggest we have a listen to what Kyle and Paul's post-game thoughts were after the Bilbao result. And then afterwards, I suggest we have a little look at the upcoming Champions League fixtures, which might be an interesting talking point to end off this podcast.
Well, before the game, I asked for fireworks on the pitch as well as in the skies, being at 5th November and all. What I got was probably more a case of a pack of sparklers at the end of the day as opposed to fireworks. It was a little bit flat, a little bit ordinary. However, the result is all important. Newcastle United are 6th in the Champions League table. We know we're 5 places clear of the likes of Barcelona. We're not to grumble. A victory is a victory. The manner of the victory wasn't exactly champagne. It was more a case of probably wanting champagne and getting a flat shandy or something like that, that it's been left out for a while. It wasn't vintage, but we got the job done, and that's all important. Look, I'd take a getting the job done type performance away in the Premier League at the moment. I really, really would. I was hoping for a reaction from the weekend, and although we got the victory, I don't really think we got the reaction, if I'm being honest. Gordon was hooked, looked injured or ill. Some people are saying that he was actually injured when he came off, but bad touch after bad touch after bad touch. He didn't look anywhere near at the races today, to be honest. We looked better with Harvey Barnes and Jacob Murphy out playing. Highlight of the game for me was seeing Lewis Hall back. Finally, after a long wait, to see him back, to see him play 30 minutes was absolutely fantastic. So that would be my moment of the match. The Dan Burn header was absolutely fantastic. A pair of headers today, wasn't it, really? But Dan Burn's goal was great. Fantastic to see Lewis Hall back. Man of the match, I'd give it to Kieran Trippier. It's clear that we missed him at the weekend. I thought it was absolutely fantastic today. Him, Chow, unbelievable. I thought Botman had a good, solid game as well. And Burn certainly led by example. He was vocal. He had a point to prove. And like I say, what a goal, what a header, that he scored. I thought the midfield was better in the second half than what it was in the first half. I thought we got more midfielders forward in the second half. I think we sat far too deep in the first half. To be fair to our visitors, they had lots of the ball, lots of possession. Pope did do 1 or 2 saves. He actually caught the ball a couple of times, but Pope being Pope, his distribution was questionable throughout. Hoofing the ball up and it going straight out time and time again. The referee, once more, it doesn't matter whether they are European referees, it seems, or domestic referees, they are all absolutely shite, and they need to be sponsored by Specsavers again. Specsavers, that was. Fucking hell, what a night. The entertainment level perhaps wasn't there, but we got the job done, and that is truly what matters. We now go on to Brentford away from home in the Premier League, and it's now over to the players not only to get the European results but to start doing it in the Premier League. It's going to be a tough assignment, no doubt about it, down in London against Brentford. I doubt we'll have Visser back. I probably think that we picked up 1 or 2 injuries and stuff today. Rumours as well about Asula maybe carrying an injury also further limits the options in the attacking third. But we'll talk about Brentford a different day. Today, not great on the eye, not vintage, not free flowing. We had a 10-15 minute spell in the early second half, which was good, definitely good. But we got the job done, 2-0. I'm happy with that. Another victory, you would think, with PSV at home to come, would probably do it for us. 12 points, you would think, but that is our best points return in the Champions League since 2007. So we're definitely doing okay, aren't we, in Europe? Now back to the Premier League, back to the bread and butter, and let's start to put things right there as well. Full time at St James's Park. It's Newcastle United 2, Athletic Club 0.
And so it's finished at St James's Park. Newcastle United 2, Athletic Bilbao 0. And we started the second half quite well, actually. We got an early goal in the second half, which was unlike us, to be fair. We usually start really slow. But Joe Linton with a really good header, and Barnes getting put on his favoured left side, getting an assist. And to be fair, there was a bit in the game where he passed the ball backwards towards like Burn or something like that, and you probably see he done more than Gordon just doing that, but he got an assist as well. So quite a dull second half once Barnes went off. In all fairness, a couple of changes were made. Miley came on and looked quite positive. Elanga came on, couldn't really get into the game. Tried to put him up front for 10 minutes, didn't really work. Murphy came on for Gordon, I think, in late first half, and he didn't really play well either. So couple of meh performances, but I think a couple did step up today. I think obviously Dan Burn for a great header, and then Joe Linton getting a goal as well. Both needed positive performances after the weekend, I think. But I think it's a curious tale of Anthony Gordon, because I think especially with Barnes coming in and doing well on the left tonight, I think if he starts on Sunday at Brentford, I think there'll be a lot of unhappy people. So yeah, I think it's a positive result. Puts for 3 wins out of 4 in the Champions League, which is really good. I think in terms of positive performances, I think Kieran Trippier was really positive, really solid defensively. Got the assist on the free kick as well. Looked really comfortable, didn't really have any problems tonight, and pressed the ball really well too. So yeah, still it was good to see Kieran Trippier back in with his leadership and obviously playing well as well, which helps. And Chow and Botman, thought they did really well. Botman, after a really bad mistake against West Ham, bounced back with style, so he played really well. And I think them 3 were the best 3 tonight, and then I'll probably give Trippier the man of the match. But yeah, positive result all around. 3 out of 4 in the Champions League, and yeah, onward we'll go. Back to you, Ian.
So, having a bit of a look ahead to our 2 next fixtures in the Champions League to finish off this episode, let's start off with Marseille, who now sit in 25th position, so 1 position out of the qualification rounds. So they definitely need to get some points on the board, don't they?
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Yeah. The thing with them is they probably are, or they definitely are, a better side than what we have seen from them so far, especially in Europe. If we have a look at, obviously, the manager is a pretty good place to start. We know him from the Premier League. It's Roberto Da Cerbi, who is quite an interesting manager, quite an interesting character, but a pretty good tactician, you have to say. Marseille are second in the Ligue 1, only 2 points behind Paris Saint-Germain, and level on points with Lens. So that's also a pretty great achievement from them, or a pretty good start of the season. But if we're talking about their most important players, which is probably the most interesting part to talk about with them, it's a bit of a squad filled with, to say it in French, enfants terribles, which means terrible children. It's basically it's some players who have a bit of a past, shall we say. Mason Greenwood comes to mind. I know Elie Wahi has now left them, but he is one of those players as well. It is an interesting squad, but there is definitely some big talent here as well. I see Benjamin Pavard in at centre back, who is a really good player. I see Matt O'Reilly, who they have loaned from Brighton. We know he's a pretty good player as well. Arthur Vermeeren, probably going to start because he's making a lot of Champions League minutes for them in midfield, but I do think that's someone who we can target because he's had a pretty rough 12 months after leaving Royal Antwerp in Belgium. Not really had a look in at Atletico Madrid, and he did have a look in at Leipzig last season, but then didn't anymore after they got a new manager. So there's that. Aubameyang is back. Paxiao has started really, really well for them in the Champions League. What do you think about Marseille? How do you see this game going?
I think it'll be a very interesting game. I like De Zerbi as a manager. I've always liked De Zerbi as a manager. I thought he was phenomenal at Brighton.
Yeah.
And I like the team they've put together. I think they've put a team together that's a very decent team. I think, like you said, there's problem players, certainly.
Hmm.
Players that I definitely don't like Greenwood. I can't stand him.
I mean,
Um, yeah, exactly. I'm not going to say what I think about him because
it's
yeah.
probably best, yeah.
But there's players I really like in that Marseille team. I've always liked him. I really like Angel Gomez. I
Hmm.
think he's a fantastic player.
Yeah.
Pike Sow looks really good.
Hmm.
I think he looks really good on the ball, really good dribbler, I think.
Yeah.
Medina, obviously he's not going to be, I don't think he's going to be fit for the game, but Facundo Medina's a fantastic defender.
Hmm.
They've put together a really smart team,
Yeah, I
and
agree
I
with
think
that.
it will be as hard of a game as you can have, especially when they're giving PSG an actual run for the money this season
Hmm.
in domestically. And they've
They
not been
are, yeah.
beaten by many goals in the Champions League either. 2-1 against Real Madrid, 2-1 against Sporting, 1-0 against Atalanta.
Mhm. And I remember the
I
Real
think
Madrid game, they very much could have walked away there with the result because they were really good.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
So there's definitely the chance for them to obviously. I don't think it'd be an upset, but there's a chance for them to beat us very much.
absolutely. Yeah. And it is in France as well. At the is it the Olympic Stadium they
The
play?
Velodrome, is it
Oh,
still
the
called the
Velodrome.
Velodrome?
Yeah. You're right. You're
Yeah.
right. Yeah. So yeah, it is going to be a tough result or a tough game for us. Definitely the toughest opponents we are facing since losing to Barcelona in the Champions League. So it's going to be a pretty tough test to see where we are at as well in the European competitions. And afterwards, we travel again, this time to Germany to face off Bayer Leverkusen. Now, what do you know about them?
Well, they've obviously just hired a new manager with Ten Hag gone
Mhm.
after like what was it, 3-4 games?
Yep.
Or was it two? It was something like that anyway. And they've made a very smart hiring in my opinion. Kasper
Yeah.
Hjulmand, who was formerly, of course, Denmark manager
Hmm.
until was it last year he left Denmark, I think it
Yeah.
was. And the way he started the play, so he's kept sort of the similar style of play to what Alonso was playing in terms of formation. So you three at the back, your two wing backs, your two midfielders. Then he's got two attack midfielders and a striker. That's where he's got to set out at the moment. And he's retained key players, sort of Patrick Schick, Jonas Hoffman, Alex Garcia, Robin Andrik, Tapsoba, are all still playing games as well, which is what you want because they're the
Hmm.
players who sort of were very key under Xabi Alonso, who maybe didn't get sort of the plaudits.
Yeah.
The way they're playing now, though, they've just started picking up results recently, and they've been phenomenal domestically under him. Really, second in the league, or the worst second in the league. Now the fifth. They've got 20 points on the board. In the last five domestic games, they beat Heidenheim 6-0, lost to Bayern,
Hmm.
beat Freiburg, beat Mainz, beat Union Berlin. That's 4 wins in 5 games. That's fantastic form.
Yeah.
Now, I think there are players we can target. Obviously, Mark Fleckman's the keeper, and he's a good
Hmm.
keeper. We know him from his time at Brentford. At the
Absolutely.
back, they've got a fantastic Gerald Conser who's in the form of his life at the moment. Bade, was great at Sevilla. Tapsoba, who we all know is a fantastic player.
Yeah.
Andrik, who's playing centre back for a lot of the time, which surprises me because Rob Andrik's a very good defensive midfielder. Grimaldo's phenomenal. Alex Garcia is phenomenal. It is a lot of phenomenal players in this team, but then Schick is back to his best as well, which is really annoying when you're about to come up against him.
Yeah.
Because Patrick Schick on an off day is very poor on an off day. Patrick Schick, he doesn't get
Hmm.
into a game at all when he's having an off day. But when he's on form, he's a scary player to come up against.
He
Uh,
has to be one of the most up and down players of the
oh
last
yeah,
5 years, right?
100%,
Yeah, it's
hundred
unbelievable.
percent. I mean, when he's on form, he can score. He can go out and score 3, 4, 5 goals a game. Like
Yeah,
he's
absolutely.
weird player.
Having said that, though, that Christian Kofan is also someone we could keep an eye out for,
Yeah,
right? The 19-year-old striker.
if he starts, I think we can get the better of Cafan. I
Hmm.
don't know too much about him. I'm not going to deny that, but from what I have seen,
Hmm.
he does look like he's got the talent to be a good striker.
Yeah.
But at the same time, against the Newcastle team that's very, very physical,
Hmm.
and don't get me wrong, he is like quite a tall player, so he will probably be quite a physical player. Playing against your Botmans at the back, he's not going to be winning much against them too. I don't
Absolutely.
think,
Yeah.
especially being a young man as well. So
Hmm.
I think they do play a quite good passing game as well, which is another thing we need to be aware of. They are, I think, second in the Bundesliga for passes completed per 90,
Mm.
with 545.7 passes per 90, which is a lot of passes in a
That
game of
is, yeah.
football. And they're not really a long ball team though. They are more sort of pass around you, short passes type team. and we do need to be aware of that because they could pass it around us ultimately,
Mhm.
pass it out wide, across the box, goal.
Yeah, I do think we might
I think
struggle with that a little bit because we are quite a physical side. We
we are
like it when teams try to play the long ball against us.
try to
And
play direct. Yeah,
having a look at their squad right now, I have some names in mind, but if I were to ask you, what player are you most worried about from this
most
Leverkusen
worried
squad?
about.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a very good question. Honestly, there's two.
Okay. Yeah.
Grimaldo, because we
Uh-huh.
know how phenomenal Grimaldo can be when he's on and off
Absolutely.
on day. He's one of the best crossers of a ball I think I've seen in a long time,
Mm-hmm.
both on the ground and in the air. And then the other one, we just touched on him saying he's one of the most on and off players in the world. Patrick Schick. I am
Yeah.
terrified of Patrick Schick.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. I also wanted to point out Ernest Poku real quick because
Hmm.
he's a young Dutch 21-year-old winger, which I mean, the thing with him is when Leverkusen signed him, I remember thinking it's too early for him. Why are they signing him now? There are so many more established wingers. All right, so as I was saying, Ernest Poku, the reason why I think we might struggle a little bit with him is because he plays out on that right wing. And as we saw with Luka Bacchio in the Champions League, if Dan Burn is the one playing there, having such a diminutive, unbelievably fast winger up against him might cause us a bit of problem, especially in behind.
Hmm. Is he the sort of winger that will cut inside and bring the ball inside Dan Burn, or is he sort of winger that'll sit wider?
He'll sit wider. He's a
He'll sit
touchline
wider.
hugger. He's actually had a couple of more goal involvements than I expected him to have because he's
Hmm.
taken to life in the Bundesliga quite well. But yeah, he's definitely a stay high and wide, drop the ball into the box for example, a Patrick Schick.
I think that favours Dan Burn a bit then if he's sitting wider because Burns more struggles more against attackers when they're cutting inside him and coming
Mm-hmm.
inside of him. I think when they sit wider, he's good at blocking crosses. He's good at stretching out his long legs to get to a ball as well ahead of a player. So I think that actually kind of suits Dan Burn a little bit more than your sorts of wingers that cut inside, like Luca Bacchio, for
Yeah,
instance.
yeah, yeah. You might genuinely be right there. I think I mean you are right about the fact that Dan Burn is better with wingers who want to hug the touchline. But I just hope that the coach of Bayer Leverkusen doesn't recognize that and then just instructs his wingers to do
Yeah,
the opposite because they do have some really interesting wingers. I think Ben Sahir, who they signed from Monaco, is a pretty interesting one
he's a
as
good
well.
player. Yeah,
That
he's a good player.
that Ibrahim Mazza is he a winger? I know he's an
He's more of a
attacking
midfielder, isn't he,
yeah,
Mansa?
yeah, I
I
think so
think.
too. And then Echiaveri can obviously play on the wing as well.
Yeah,
The
Echeverry is
City
brilliant.
kid. Nathan Tella is injured, but I wasn't really too worried about him. What is something that might be a positive for us is the Lucas Vasquez injury in at right wing back because I
Yes.
struggle to see a different right wing back for them at this moment in time.
From what I've seen in their last lineup, it was Arthur.
Oh, well, there you go. I'm not too big of a fan of Arthur, to be honest.
He doesn't look brilliant from what I, when
Mhm.
I've watched him. He has never
So
looked. He has never set the world alight.
absolutely. So if Lucas Vasquez is still out injured at that moment in time, it could be a game where we see Gordon take it by the scruff of the neck and carry us through as well. Gordon is definitely going to have to be, or Barnes, depending on who starts, is going to have to be
Yes.
an important cog in that system when we face Leverkusen. I mean, we did already cover PSV in quite some depth, so why not finish up with Paris Saint-Germain and have all of the Champions League opponents covered?
Oh,
I mean, I have touched upon this before, but I am really glad that this is the last game of the
yes,
campaign or of the league phase. Because on the one hand, we will most likely already have all of the points we are going to accumulate at that point in time.
hmm,
But also PSG probably are already safe and sound at that moment in time.
yes.
So that should probably still help us. However, what are your initial feelings for this game?
Scared, very,
Mhm.
very scared. These are the champions of Europe. You know,
Yeah, you're
they
right.
are the best club in Europe technically at the moment.
Yeah.
And more worryingly, they have four players out injured at the moment: Hakimi, Doué, Mendes, and Dembele.
Hmm.
All four of them will be back by January.
I mean,
So that's
January
scary.
is quite a long time away from here. They could
It
also
is,
have
it
more
is.
injuries.
They can, but if they
But so
don't
could
pick up
we.
any big injuries, well, yeah, exactly. If they don't pick up any big injuries, them four being back by January as well, it's just
Yeah,
terrifying to think about playing against. To think about
absolutely.
playing against that team that we saw rip so many great teams like Liverpool, Villa, the won a Champions League final against Inter 5-0,
Hmm.
and they absolutely battered them in that final. That's an Inter
They
team that are
did.
very, very good.
Yeah.
So it's terrifying to put it into words.
Yeah,
Absolutely
yeah, I completely
bloody
agree.
terrifying.
One of the more terrifying things is if you just have a look at the playing squad and you start to put labels on these players. You have the Ballon d'Or winner, you have the
Yep,
Copa Trophy winner, you
yep.
have arguably the best young central midfielder in the world in João Neves, who I am an unbelievable fan of.
I'm
If
one of the best in Vitinha as well.
Absolutely, Vitinha. I can't forget him. But the thing with Vitinha, or why I'm not mentioning him here, is um, I think Vitinha could go missing in a game against
Okay,
us
yeah, yeah.
because he doesn't have the physicality to deal with Premier League
Hmm.
midfields. Because
That's
we cannot
true.
forget this is a player who played for Wolves.
Play for Wolves, yeah.
So it is someone who doesn't find it easy to play to the best of his ability against English sides.
Hmm.
And we are definitely one of the most physical English teams out there. So we could definitely win that physical battle from Vitinha. If we don't, however, if we aren't on our A game, he's just going to dance through that midfield. So
He'll tear
that's
us a new one.
absolutely. So that's a scary one. As for Joao Neves, the thing I really wanted to say about him, if you haven't seen it already, please go
I know
and
what this is
check it
gonna be.
out. His hat trick against
Yeah,
Toulouse.
that was
How
ridiculous. That was ridiculous.
is that the single best hat trick you've ever seen? Because it might be the best one I've ever seen.
I can't think of another one as good as that.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
It's different gravy.
I mean, spoiler alert in 3, 2, 1. If you haven't seen it, but he scores 2 bicycle kicks in the space of about 9 minutes, and then
Hmm.
scores an absolute thundercunt as well from the edge of the area. But the reason I'm touching upon this is you also have Ashraf Hakimi, who might be the best right back in the world. You have Nuno Mendes, who definitely is the best left back in the
Yeah,
world.
100%
This team is just absolutely stacked to the
stacked.
brim
Yeah,
with talent.
the two
And they
centre
have a
backs in
really
us,
interesting,
which is
yeah. The center backs,
Pacho and Marquinhos.
Pacho is one of the players I'm shocked with it, when seeing how far he's taken his game, because
Hmm.
he played in Belgium 3 years ago.
Yeah.
He was playing for Royal Antwerp, who are uh, second last in the league at this moment in time in Belgium.
Other? Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
surprised
yeah,
me. They
yeah.
used to be a good club,
That is,
Antwerp.
yeah, it is quite surprising, but they've just kept on losing all of their players over the last 2 seasons without really replacing them with anyone interesting at all. Their best player last season was a 38-year-old Charon Cherry, who you might know from
Oh,
his
yes.
QPR days.
Yeah, I was gonna say he used to play for UPI. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
Surinamese as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. So he's
Yeah.
going to be at the World Cup. But he's now already left them after just 1 season at the age of
Oh God.
38, after having been their most important player to play for NEC Nijmegen now in Holland, where he's still balling out to his credit.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, Pacho was Alderweireld's partner
Oh.
for Antwerp, and now he's making these gigantic steps up. And
Hmm.
to be honest, if you hear any Belgian analysts talking, there were genuinely games where Pacho was helping out Alderweireld more than Alderweireld was helping out Pacho. So that's a really, really interesting player
Yeah.
to keep your eye on, because I think he's going to remain class for
He's
a
brilliant. He
big
really is
while. Yeah,
brilliant.
absolutely. And then there's the style of play, obviously, when it comes to Paris Saint-Germain. The way their forwards interchange with one another, run
Yeah.
your defense riot. The more we the more we talk about this game, the more worried I am, to be honest.
Yeah, I am as well. Yeah.
So maybe we end this episode with a little score prediction on the 4 games coming up in the Champions
Okay.
League, and then we end it there. What do you say?
Okay, so we'll
All right.
do them in order as well. So
Yeah.
Marseille first.
All right.
I think we're gonna beat him 2-1.
2-1 away from home against Marseille. Ooh. I am going for 1-0. I don't think we're
1-0.
beating Marseille. Yeah, I think they need the points too much to lose this game as well. So I think that Jerby will fire up his men for this game.
Fair enough, yeah.
1-1. Yeah. Now, out in
Next.
Leverkusen.
Yeah.
I will start this one. I do, however, have more confidence in us facing Leverkusen than I do Marseille. I think Bundesliga teams suit us quite well because one thing we have struggled with this season is scoring goals. Now, let defending be the one thing every single German side struggles with. So that does help us a bit. I'm saying we win that one 3-1 away.
I'm going to go scrappy 1-0 win.
Okay.
I see it being a very sort of game where we like sort of contrast each other. Well, not contrast, sorry. Cancel out each other because we're both quite high pressing teams, and so I see that resulting in a 1-0 win for us. I would honestly go and say a Walter Marder goal as well. I'd go a bit further and say it's going to be a Walter Marder goal.
I would love that. I would love to see him score in Germany.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Then the PSV game.
Oh.
I'm going
How
to
do you
come
predict this?
right out of the woodworks with this one and call a crazy 4-2 home victory for us.
Okay.
So a lot of goals. I do think the defense is where we can get at them because the total football idea with Jerdy Schouten at centre back is really fun, but it also means when they face real quality, they could actually concede quite a lot of goals.
I'm going to go similar. I'm going to go 3-1.
All right.
And I think the way we're going to win that game is, like you say, Shouten's allowed to go anywhere when he has the ball. So if he's allowed to go anywhere when he has the ball and he's playing centre back, how many centre backs does he play? 2?
Yeah, 2.
So if he's one of the 2 centre backs and he's going anywhere with the ball,
exactly.
if we're quick on the counter, we can make the most out of that.
Or just win the ball high up the pitch with our great pressing. Which I mean, we're at home against PSV, so it should be great.
Exactly. Yeah, it should be better pressing, like we said earlier. Yeah.
I mean, it's quite unbelievable that we have to make that distinction, but I mean, here we are now. And finally, the Paris Saint-Germain game, probably the hardest one to predict.
Yep.
I'll let you take that one away because I'm struggling really badly.
Okay. Do you know what? 2-2 draw.
All right, I like that.
2-2 draw.
I like that a lot. In the Parc des Princes, I'm saying PSG beat us 2-0, unfortunately.
Fair enough. No, it's a fair prediction.
Yeah. I mean, I genuinely hope you're the one who's right on that one. But I think they are just a bit too strong.
My prediction comes from the fact that when we played Barcelona, we outplayed Barcelona in that first half.
We could have,
I think we can do that. I think we can do this for 90 minutes. I think we're good enough to do that for 90 minutes against Barcelona. And at this point in time, however many games in the Champions League, I know Barca had a very poor showing against Brugge.
Yeah.
And I know they sort of not had the best Champions League showing, but I still think they're a better team than most teams in Europe. I think if we could do that against them, who say we can't do against PSG?
Yeah, you're right. And the thing with Club Brugge is also they came with the absolute perfect game plan against Barcelona because we all know Barcelona play this kamikaze-esque high line, and Club Brugge just have this one winger on the right called Carlos Forbes, who is unbelievably
I know about
fast.
Forbes, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, he played for Wolves. I forgot. Yeah,
he played for Wolves and came through City's academy.
Oh, that I genuinely didn't know.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, he's been really, really good for Club Brugge, and he showed it against Barcelona how effective.
He played phenomenally. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
They played very well, Brugge.
If I mean now that we are touching upon Club Brugge real quickly, there is one player from Club Brugge who also had a magnificent game against Barcelona, who I would be really, really interested in if I were Newcastle United, and that's Joachim Sass. I mean, he's a left-footed left back, but he's just as comfortable playing right back. So that's a really, really interesting part of his game.
Right.
But he was the one marking Yamal, and Yamal did score twice, which it's Lamine Yamal. There's not much you can do about that, especially about that worldie he scored.
Oh, that was a brilliant
goal. But apart from those 2 goals, if you genuinely have a look at the entire game, Sass is there the entire time, always and he's the most important or the most interesting part about that game. He's not just standing close to Yamal, but he's always at exactly the perfect length away from him to anticipate Yamal's next move, to anticipate a dribble or a pass, to come crunching in when he's about to control the ball. That was really, really interesting. And that's something that is coached, in my opinion, not necessarily naturally learned. So that means Saz is probably quite tactically versatile and tactically smart, which is something Eddie Howe loves in his players, because that was the first compliment he gave Nick Voltemade as well. He didn't say Voltemade is a fantastic striker, is really strong. He said Voltemade is tactically very, very smart. And I think that's really important to him.
Sounds like a transfer target, to be fair.
I would love to
Could be
see
worth
it.
could be worth a little episode, that, Ian.
Maybe we should. Maybe we should. For now, I think that's where we're going to end this episode. It was a pretty special one because it was already the 10th episode, and I think we made quite good. We made good on the promise of a 10th episode, shall we say? I think we made some very interesting talking points. Is there anything else you would like to add on maybe the Bilbao game, maybe the Brentford game?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Then I think we must have covered everything. Every single thing we've covered everything. Yeah. In that case, I would thank you very much for joining me on today's episode. I want to thank the people at home for listening to this episode. If you are listening to this on Spotify, please make sure to give us a 5-star rating and a follow. If you are listening to this on YouTube, please go ahead and subscribe, like the video, leave a comment discussing any of the topics we talked about. It does really help us in the algorithm. And be also sure to check out Magpie247 on our social media pages and Magpie247 Ultras as well, because I mean, we post daily on there some really, really impressive and interesting stuff, especially if you are a Newcastle fan. So please make sure to go ahead and check out all those pages. And we would like to see you in the next episode. Have a good one.